Yeah, Francois Hollande was saying Bashar al-Assad, the president of Syria, cannot be an ally, a partner for France. Why is that interesting? Because on the face of it, after all, that seems to be fairly normal. Only a year ago, Francois Hollande was readying French warplanes to go and strike Damascus in a possible attempt to bring down the regime, at least severely weaken the regime, along with the United States. So it seems normal that he says Bashar al-Assad wouldn't be an ally. But the thinking and the momentum in the region is changing, because a year ago, the biggest perceived threats for Western countries in the region was the dictatorship of Bashar al-Assad and the brutal repression, use of chemical weapons, and so on. A year on, nowadays, the biggest perceived threat for Western countries is is ISIS that you mentioned, the Islamic State, the organization of the Islamic State in Iraq and in Syria, a transnational group of jihadists that has been able to establish full operational control over regions straddling Syria and Iraq. And there is now thinking that Western countries and the Syrian regime are de facto allies because they have a common enemy. Well, Francois Hollande was putting his foot down today, saying, no, we're not going to be fighting alongside Bashar al-Assad. It's going to be interesting to see how long that statement remains true.
Sarah, you mentioned this transnational arc in regards especially to the jihadis. What about Libya? What did President Hollande have to say about Libya?
Well, President Hollande listed a number of threats that, as you said, he sees directly endangering France. None more so, and this is interesting, than Libya. Libya is geographically closer to France than the Middle East is, and Libya has fewer international, is the object of less international attention. It is currently, at this stage, essentially a failed state. None of the state's institutions are working. The armed militias, the rivalry between the militias has ballooned into a rivalry between the Islamists and the non-Islamist militias, and the fear is that Libya could become a safe haven for a number of terrorist groups. Francois Hollande explicitly saying there are a number of terrorist factions, movements operating in southern Libya that are ready to strike, and he says he called on the UN to help the institutions of the Libyan state to try and shore up the Libyan state to make sure it doesn't become a springboard for attacks across the region and even into Europe.